So moving on to our next slide. This is my first guy that I want to talk about, and that's the leading tackler from last year, and that would be Isaac Gifford. 86 tackles. He led the team, 6.5 tackles for loss. He had 8 pass breakups, which was second on the team, 1 interception, and was honorable mention All Big Ten player. I loved watching him play. He reminded me a lot of JoJo Domann in that nickel spot, because it seemed like when he figured out what the play was, he was there and he was smacking people. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some players from opposing teams that when it's all said and done, they're going to get to the end of their career. And if they're asked about a Nebraska player they didn't like to play against, Isaac Gifford's going to be one of the first names that pop into their mouth. So that's my guy. I just think he's only going to get better. If he stays healthy, he's only going to get better. I think between Dvorak and Cooper, those guys are so good at getting him to fit in that tweener spot between a linebacker and a safety. I can't wait to see what Isaac Gifford does. And for me, I think he will make the most impact. You know what? I'm not going to hem-haw around. I don't really have anybody on my list that I think makes less impact. I think most of them are going to be really good, or they're going to make the most impact in their particular field of expertise. So most impact with Isaac for me. What do you think?
He is like the archetype of a Tony White identity of a defense. Like, he likes there to not be a huge difference between the trenches all the way back to the cornerbacks. He likes a seamless transition of skill sets between the guys. There's not a huge jump, a huge archetype jump. And that nickel position is the bread and butter of a Tony White Tony White defense. And I think Isaac Gifford fills that archetype perfectly. He is just tenacious. He's got that football IQ and that just game sense, that the intangibles, the type of like instinct that he just does and doesn't think about it. And you can see it on his gameplay on the field. It doesn't look like he thinks too much. He just relies on his instincts, and he's just allowed to play the game of football. And that's exactly what Tony White wants in a defensive throughout his entire defense. And I think Isaac fulfills that role perfectly. I think he does have one of the most impactful he has one of the most impactful roles across our entire 2024 season. It's gonna rest on his shoulders, because I think he's gonna make or break a lot of plays. He's gonna make a lot of plays, and we're gonna kind of look back at the season and go, damn, if he wasn't there at that one moment, if he wasn't there at that other moment, what does that season look like? Like, what is the player's name? I'm totally blanking on it right now. It was 2014 defense, specifically. I think it was 2014, or maybe it was a few years before, when Melvin Gordon popped off on us and went like for 400.
Might have been his brother. Was it Luke?
I think it was Luke.
Or was it Nathan Gary?
Oh, it was Nate Gary. It was Nate Gary.
Yeah. Same
Nate
type
Gary,
of player.
kind of like that. When you look back at Nate Gary's impact on our defense, he was always there for every highlight. He was there, either helping a tackle or being the first person there on the tackle. So I think Isaac has that kind of impact this year. He's just always there, which is exactly what you want out of a nickel player. But I'll be damned if you don't do your job. So do your job. I think he has the most impact.
You know, I listened to Husker Online one day. They interviewed Tony White, and the first thing he said when they asked him how he's doing, he said, I just got out of a third down meeting where we went back through film of how my defense performed on third down, and I'm a little pissed off. He said, so beware. And they kind of laughed it off a little bit, but he was not happy. He was not happy with, especially in the games that we lost. I looked at some stats. Big Red Junkies had posted them up there. They're great podcasts, by the way, folks, if you want to check them out. They posted up some interesting stats in the losing efforts versus the winning efforts, the difference between third down percentage on offense and third down percentage on defense. And it was flip-flopped. We were terrible on third down on offense and terrible on third down on defense when we lost, and the opposite was true when we won. Fix that issue, and I think Isaac makes a big difference in that area. That's why I have him under the most impact. So